Wilson Morales from Black Cement TV. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey, what's happening? But Alice, so you can hang out, Benicio. You're good.
Don, your character reminded me like this is Mouse 20 years later in a way.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
both of you have worked with Steven before. So like when you come back nearly a decade later, do you see any difference in his directing technique, knowing he's more hands-on in terms of directing and the editing?
Well, he's always been that since the first, movie I worked with him. I mean, that's not true. He did have a different DP the first and Out of Sight. But since then, Steven's been the operator. He's been the DP. He's always editing. We saw, I think in this one, remember that early sequence that we got to see of the credit sequence really early, Benicio?
Right. When you walking down the street, yeah.
Even before he really, shot much of the movie, he had already edited together with all these pictures and music, this cool credit sequence. So it's been consistently Steven for many, many years. But, for me, the opportunity to work with Benicio in this kind of a crime thriller setting, if it's Mouse, 20 years later, it's also sort of Out of Sight, 20 years later, but 30 years before on a chronological.
Right.
And Benicio, how about you? It's been a minute since you worked with Steven. How was it coming back and having a big role?
Like Steven called me up, told me he was doing this movie with Don Cheadle, and I said yes before I read the script, and that's no lie. That's the truth. I said yes, because of my respect for Don's work and for Steven as a filmmaker. But I think that one thing that I've seen in his work that I think it's gotten even better is the photography.
For sure.
I think the photography of this film is terrific, So I he's gotten better as a photographer, I think.
I agree.
Don, you were one who happened to work with Mums. Obviously, he passed away recently. Can you talk about Mums for a bit?
I had met Mums many, many years ago, briefly. I think when he was on Oz, and we just hadn't reconnected again until this film. And he just was a delightful dude, really warm, a poet. Everybody knows that. And when I saw the movie, because it's one thing when you're in scenes with people, but then when you see, you step back and see what's happening with the way it's cut together, the way it's, the finished product. I'm glad that we have this document of him in some of his last work, because I think it's a really cool performance, and then he really helps center the movie.
Mm-hmm. Benicio, how much did you know about this auto industry? I didn't know it could be so violent.
About the what?
The auto industry.
I didn't know. I mean, I grew up with Fords. My dad was a Ford guy, so I didn't know. I didn't know what happened. But when you're in Detroit, you can see the magnitude of the car industry and how strong and how important it is to the history of this country and, probably the history of the world. The car changed everything, there were people like, people that used to think like, you never get rid of the horse. And there was this guy with this idea and pushed and the Ford, I forgot the name of the car, but the Model T, it just changed the world, and you see it in Detroit, and it's still going strong, I mean, Detroit is a great city, and you see the past and you see the future there, so so it's really interesting. But I didn't know that there's lying everywhere. We're humans.
I think a lot of people get a kick out of this because it's a riddle and you don't know how it's going to end until the very end, But it's good to see both of you in these roles, and I'm sure I'll see you again in other projects. But I'm glad I had fun watching this.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you. Yeah.